Good morning to all of you. Good morning, Sister Tekla, Sister Jansi, Sister Marie-Therese, and all the Cluny sisters, and all the esteemed teachers of both the schools of Cluny today. I feel already we are celebrating Christmas. The way you are all dressed up and come today is really very marvelous. I asked Sister Tekla, do they dress like this every day? Yes, yes, but there is a little bit of extra today, she said. Okay, very good. ஆள் பாதி ஆடை பாதி அப்படின்னு தமிழில் சொல்கிறாங்க. It is true like that. You are all the time telling the children, listen, listen, listen. Gavani, Gavani, Gavani. Whether they listen to the subjects or not, they always listen to you. My class teacher is neatly dressed, they observe. She is punctual, they observe. She doesn't procrastinate, she finishes things on time, they observe. Irrespective of your saying repeatedly to the children, listen, 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 you are listened to constantly. Remember that first. That's why the first role of any teacher is to teach by example. Teach by example. Your kindness, your sense of justice, your commitment to work, your neatness, everything is observed by the students. I always say, every teacher teaches us. A good teacher teaches so many things together with the subjects. A bad teacher teaches me not to teach like her. A bad teacher teaches me not to teach like her. You are all teachers by the very fact you enter the portals of this great institute of learning. You are all teachers. Remember that. We can go on speaking about teaching by example. You know, so many sayings. I am only repeating it today. Example is better than precept. Actions speak louder than words. Your example. You are a public person once you come to a school. You cannot claim any privacy with regard to your conduct. And the children see you doing it. It seems one of the teachers was correcting the answer papers, and then she had written something in the margin. The child went and asked the teacher, "Teacher, you have written some comments. What does it mean? I don't understand. I am not able to read it." The teacher told her, it seems, "Write legibly, I have written." That itself is not legible. That itself is not legible. So you have to also write legibly. Only then the students will learn. So I need not go into it still far. You know this area. You are role models to the students. You are examples to the students. In the Bible, in the letter of St. Paul, one of them, Paul says, imitate me. He doesn't say, imitate Jesus Christ. Why he says imitate me? Because I imitate Christ, you imitate me. If you imitate me, necessarily you are imitating Christ, St. Paul says. So remember that as the first message that I wanted to communicate today. I want to straight away start with some tips for the teachers. I don't have any proper order. At the end, we will have some dialogue and discussion, since the intention of the Clooney management is that I animate the teachers with the best of what I have, what I am. To tell you, I myself have been a teacher for so many years. I started to be a 9th standard class teacher way back in 1981 to 82, those days when I was doing my regency in Kadalur, St. Joseph's Higher Secondary School. Now it is also a college. In Kadalur, I was a 9th standard class teacher. I was teaching history, geography and English without degree, because one of the teacher was absent. So those days it was tolerated, nobody reported and all. I had finished my BA at that time, but I didn't have any other degree, and I taught it. That was my first assignment, teaching. Then in the year 1986 to 88, I was again teaching English to the seminarians and Latin also to the seminarians in 1986 to 88, again in Kadalur, in St. Agnes Minor Seminary. Then 2 years I was working in different parishes. Then I started my teaching ministry in the seminary to the seminarians and also to priests in 1990 and till 2021. 31 years I was a teacher. Only that I did not teach the secular subjects. I was mostly teaching the law of the church, then homiletics, that is how to give a homily and all. I was teaching Mariology and some other minor subjects, but mostly canon law. So 31 years plus 3 years earlier, 36 years of teaching experience I have. One of the decisions I made right at the beginning of the teaching ministry, especially when I started teaching priests. At the initial period, my students were much older than me. I was 34 when I completed my doctorate, PhD in canon law. My students were sometimes 50 years old. Some vicars general, some procurators of the dioceses, they were all my students. I made it a point, I will never get angry in the class. I will never get angry in the class. I may get angry in the playfield, but not in the class. So after some time, after I mastered table tennis, I told the students, if you want to get from me a special dinner, only 2 challenges. One is make me angry in the class. The second is defeat me in table tennis. I was sure that I can't be easily defeated. I was sure that I have control over myself. I will not get angry with them, whatever may be the provocative question. Do students feel free in your class to ask questions freely? That is an important point. Sometimes some people say, I was there, no, why can't you tell me? We knew once we told you, we disturbed your siesta, how angry and ferocious you were. So you should give them the feeling of ease, that you are ready to listen, willing to listen. That is important. Don't get angry and put down the children. When children don't ask questions, they are afraid either of the students, classmates, or either of you or of you. If they are not asking questions, feel free. I encourage students always to ask questions. This is one thing. I often repeat, there are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. So encourage your students to ask questions. Ask questions. Without knowing their questions, sometimes you go on giving answers. It seems a war pilot escaped with his parachute as the plane was about to crash. As he was coming down, he was caught up in a tree. He could not move here and there. The parachute stuck up in a tree. He was worried whether it is enemy land or his own land. Even though he escaped, if it is enemy land, he would be shot down. So someone came that side. He asked him, "Where am I?" That man said, "You are there, hanging in your parachute in the trees." "Thank you, mister. I think you are a Catholic priest," he told him, the war pilot. "Why do you say that? How did you find out? I don't have my cassock also. How did you find out?" "Sir, I found out because what you say is absolutely true and absolutely useless." What you say is absolutely true and absolutely useless. Your answer does not solve my problem. Sometimes you may be saying things absolutely true in the class, but absolutely useless, without knowing the real questions of the students. Encourage them to ask as many questions as possible. In fact, I sharpened my knowledge of the law of the church only because of the penetrating questions of my students. I never got it angry. In the initial stages, I even prepared for 9 hours to teach 1 hour of canon law, especially on general norms, to my students. That is one thing. Encourage students to ask questions and respond to them politely, with respect, patiently. That is one of the duties of the students. One of the hallmarks of an excellent teacher, I believe. Another important point, know your students. I say this repeatedly to my priests also. Do you know them well? Can you call each of the student by name? The Holy Father says, the priest must know the sheep, the shepherd must know the sheep. And he should call them by nickname or pet name. Suppose his name is Joseph. When you call him Joe, that's how he is called in his family. Once you call him Joe in the class, he will be the happiest person. Like this, call them. That shows your closeness to him, your concern for him, special love for him. Know your student. Sometimes we are there throughout the year, we don't know who is he. It doesn't take much time. What is the name of that watchman, watchwoman, the lady who cleans? There may be only 4 or 5. You don't bother about it at all. Leave that aside. At least as a teacher who is regularly coming to this particular class, how many students you can call by name? That is important. Know your student. That is one thing is about name. They say knowledge is power. When you know the name, you have power. You have real power. Know them. Secondly, know their background as much as possible. All that is necessary for you to give them formation, training, education. The girl may be suffering from stomach pain, so she is dozing or writhing in pain. You should be very sensitive to the needs of that sick child. She will not forget it for life. When you are considerate, don't treat all the children in the same manner. There are some who need to be understood because of their sickness or family problem. In poor school, some other places, they didn't even have the breakfast, or they have some worries about the father and the mother. Children of single parent or children or broken families, don't think that everyone is the same. That's why knowing the children, knowing their background, knowing their pain and agony will contribute to you. Come on, child, you go to the last row, and then you, to the extent possible, you listen or write. Don't worry. Just one day, one expression of this sort will create a lasting impression in the mind of the child. That is very powerful. How far you have done it? Many of you senior teachers would have already done it. For the young ones, it is a reminder from me. You know it already. We wanted to be understood. We wanted to be noticed. When a sister, when a teacher notices it among the students, it would be marvelous. So, know your students. It's all right, you have to know the subject, but then know your students also in the same measure. Know their background, especially the name. The person has been there one whole year, you don't know the name. That's not proper, I believe. Try to learn some names little by little. Before the end of the academic year, learn the names of as many students as possible whom you are teaching. Sometimes it may be difficult, but then it's not very difficult if you make a try. Secondly, plan for every class. Never try to skip it. Plan for every class. So that's why some people say teacher's job is a 24-hour job. You should be all the time thinking, what do you have to do tomorrow? I was telling the fathers, Bishop, you are traveling everywhere, inside and outside the diocese. Are you not tired? So much of travel. I told them, my traveling doesn't make me tired at all. My preparation for what I am going to say to the people, that makes me tired, I told them. If that were not to be, I'll be very, very peaceful, relaxed. I don't even watch TV. Very rarely I watch TV because I don't have time for the preparation for the next talk. I used to tell them, prepare for every class. Not every day's class, but every class, I told you. What am I going to tell the children? It is not enough to know what you have to say, but how you have to say. When will the students grasp much more when I explain the subject in this way? That should be the preoccupation of all the teachers. Some teachers all the time are worried about, I have to complete the syllabus, complete the syllabus. Completing the syllabus is not as important as making the children understand the little bit of syllabus you have already taught. Sometimes there is the defense of the thesis during the PhD, the students are given say 20 minutes to present the summary of the thesis. Some of the students will be reading it as fast as possible. They have 20 pages, they want to finish it in 20 minutes. How can they finish? You have given a copy to all of them. If you read 10 pages out of those 20 and it is understood by the people, that is much better, isn't it? That's how we also have to be conscious. The students must be respected. Therefore, you have to prepare for your every class. That is one thing. The next one, pay attention to the strength and limitation of each of your student. That's what I already said, know your student. Pay attention to the strength and limitation of each of your students. Reward their strengths and strengthen their weakness. Reward their strength and strengthen their weakness. This particular student comes in this background. So, will he understand when I use big words? So, you have to be conscious whether it is understood at all. You have to see the strength and weaknesses of the students. Move around the room as you teach. Why it is often suggested is that you may look at each person, but not all the time. That is left to each teacher. But then the important thing is having eye contact with the students, each of them. Students have always told me, my classes were normally 100, gallery type. Nobody can escape my gaze in my class. So, Father, in your class we are not able to turn this side or that side. If there is any movement, for example, in the class, I cannot. Even in a meeting like this, sometimes some headmistresses, esteemed principals will send a notebook giving it for signature. Even at that time, I cannot teach. And in the Holy Mass, sometimes the choir will be a great distraction and nuisance to me. At that time only, they will be preparing for the next song, searching where the next song is there. My God, I forget half of the homily. Another Reverend sister will be writing the prayer of the faithful at that time. That means she already communicates to me, she is not interested in my homily. So why I am saying is, get the attention of each of the student. Each of the student. So when children weep in the church and all, cry, make noise. In Singapore I have seen there is a small glass window within which, a glass room within which children with their mothers, little children, babies with their mothers are asked to sit, that they may not disturb others. Here in our churches, sometimes I have seen in the first row, second row, 2 or 3 babies will be there. They will be shouting. The mother will be going on looking at me. I get so irritated sometimes. You said, what Bishop, you said you won't get angry, but here, I am not angry with the child at all. I am angry with the mother. I am angry with the catechist. I am angry with the parish priest who does nothing about it. They say we have to be prophets. We have to be very, very strict and all. Tell the truth. What courage you have? You don't have courage to tell the mother of the weeping baby to carry the child outside the church. Take the child outside, I used to tell. Same thing, I cannot. There can be some others able to communicate. Whatever you do here, as if they are blind and deaf, they go on teaching. But I am not blind, I am not deaf. Every little noise distracts me. Every movement distracts my teaching. So you have to also make it sure there should not be so many activities of this sort in the class. Get the attention of the students and then look at each of them in their eyes. Be expressive, smile. Some teachers are sometimes like refrigerated buffaloes. Already buffalo doesn't have no feeling whatsoever. Refrigerated buffalo means no feeling whatsoever. Something is good, smile. Smile at the students. They want to see you smiling. The teacher's primary role, I would say, is smile. One of the favorite teaching of the Holy Father is be cheerful. Be cheerful. The Holy Father, right at the beginning of his ministry, listed 15 diseases which affect the Catholic Church. The first disease is having a funeral face. Having a funeral face. You know, you are all really good looking. Now when we are smiling, extra good looking you are all. Same thing with regard to the children. Have you smiled at the children? There may be some teachers who never smiled at all. Smile. That communicates. You have a congregation by name Sisters of Mary Immaculate, SMI Sisters. We don't have in our diocese that particular congregation. But many of them were my students, SMI Sisters. They dress like Mother Teresa Sisters. They are based in Krishnagar, Calcutta. I have been there a number of times. My students are there. The founder is one Bishop Maro. He said he was very strict. Sisters must always go in two, minimum two. No sister should go alone. That was his rule. Other congregations of sisters may make fun of you, but I tell you, you have to always go in two. When you go for shopping, two sisters. When you go for home holidays, what shall we do, Bishop? They asked him. Home holidays. 2 weeks holiday. Two of you go to one sister's house, and next week go both of you to other sister's house. That was how they practiced so many years, more than 25 years. And then finally now after his death, they have relaxed that rule. Relaxed that rule. Even for home holidays, which they have once in 3 years or something like that, they were asked to go into. He said, why? It is because of the apostolate of smile. Apostolate of smile. If you go alone and smile, people may think you are mad, maybe. You have another sister, you can go on smiling. I am not founding you to start any school or institution. I am founding this congregation that you may talk to all the women and children of Bengal. That is the purpose. Call them by name, know them. That is my primary intention, he said. I like it very much. They do not have many institutions, Sisters of Mary Immaculate. But then apostolate of smile, going by two, he insisted upon. To the extent, even the provincial doesn't have an individual room in their congregation. Always common room. Dormitory or 2 or 3 sharing in the congregation like that. Because the founder wanted it that way. Community life, charity. I often say there is a Matthean model of evangelization, go and do. But there is a Johannine model. John says, by your love for one another, the world will know that you are my disciples. Why I said all this? To impress upon you the need of smiling. Christmas is the season of joy. The first message that was given to Mary is rejoice. There may be problems, but keep smiling. Keep smiling. A group of teachers went to see Mother Teresa when she was alive. Mother, what is your final message to us? She said, keep smiling. If only you have a horrible husband and irritating children, you will not sell the same thing to us, mother. Mother told, my spouse, that is Jesus, he is also too demanding. He requires lot of things from me, but I keep smiling. She told the novices, you know how you should give bath to this old man. You saw in the Holy Mass the priest holding the sacred host with so much reverence. The same Jesus is in this sick person. Assist him with a smile. Hold him in honor. Keep smiling. I don't ask you to go on laughing loud with everybody. Just a little smile will not cost you much, but it will encourage, it will give boost to the people. Boost to the people. Okay, so give appreciation generously. When I teach the sisters, I always say, when I tell the superiors about emotional bank account. Have you heard about emotional bank account? You have to really build up emotional bank account in the students. You know, State Bank account or Syrian Bank or Punjab Bank, so many banks are there here and so many accounts you may have. What is this emotional bank account? The emotional bank account is the trust and confidence you create in the hearts of the students by consistent loving and respectful behavior. The trust and confidence you create in the hearts of the students by consistent loving and respectful behavior. You look very tired today. Did you have your breakfast? Did you sleep well last night? You deposit in the heart of the child. What a beautiful handwriting. You deposit in the heart of the child. Come on, you sing the prayer song today. After the singing, let us give her a clap for this wonderful singing. What a musical voice you have. Emotional bank account. Even in your own family, you have to build up emotional bank account in the children, in the husband, in the wife. Every time you manifest your care, every time you give a compliment, every time you appreciate, you are depositing. Some of us don't deposit. We are only too eager to withdraw all the time. Overdraft it becomes. எப்போ பார்த்தாலும் தப்பு கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது. கரெக்ஷன் வந்து withdraw பண்ணுறது. So when you have 10 times appreciated, you have the credibility to correct once. If not 10 times, at least 5 times, say something positive. Those days when Aishwarya Rai was in the limelight, I used to watch some of the interviews. One word she always said is, be positive, be positive, that's all. Everything, be positive. Those words I had repeatedly, I heard. You also have to be positive. What are the positive things that you find in a particular little girl? And then you might have heard of this again and again. How many times as a class teacher you asked the positive points about a particular student written by all of them? They will remember it for life. Once do that exercise, they will be surprised to know. I was told in a particular case, they were carrying it till the end of their life. Suppose a class of 20 students, all the other 19 beside the teacher, what do they see positive in me? When you put them together, at least 5 or 6 points on which they all converge, it is really marvelous. People have grown through appreciation. பாராட்டு எல்லா இதயங்களும் விரும்பும் தாலாட்டு. We need to be appreciated. And Jesus is a good teacher. Again and again he appreciated people. When the widow offered 2 copper coins, Jesus appreciated it. Even in the parable of the talent, Jesus said, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Jesus said. Jesus appreciated the faith of the Canaanite woman, the faith of the centurion. Jesus knows how to appreciate. Jesus appreciated when Mary, sister of Martha, spent lot of money through the perfume with which she respected Jesus. Jesus appreciates people. Do you appreciate? We are all often not very grateful. We need to be grateful to God. Grateful people appreciate. We take people for granted. In this context, tell your students to say thanks. Not only as LKG when they are given chocolate. The mother tells, say thanks child, say thanks child. Thank you, please, sorry. These are 3 words which must be used repeatedly by polite people, by kind people, the Holy Father says. Some people say, don't say thanks. Intimates, don't stand on ceremony. My niece's son helps me a lot in the ministry, media evangelization. Once he told me, he is in Qatar now. So you are doing lot of work, man. Thank you. No, don't say thanks, he wrote to me. No, when I say thanks, don't think I am extending the gap between you and me. When I say thanks, I am happy about what you are doing. I appreciate what you are doing. I praise the Lord for what you are doing. That is the meaning of my thanks, I say. In the same way, you have to be thankful. You have to appreciate constantly. Be generous with their praise. Yesterday I was telling a group of bishops and also priests and sisters and lay people how in the Gospel of Luke and in the Acts of the Apostles, always there is praise for people. Starting with the first chapter, how was John the Baptist's parents? They are all described in glowing terms in Luke chapter 1 verse 6. Again the second chapter, Simeon, what a good man he was, that is mentioned. Again about the centurion, what a good man he is helping the people by building a synagogue for them. In the 10th chapter it is mentioned. In the Acts of the Apostles, about one Cornelius, what a fine man he is, Luke writes. About Apollos in the 18th chapter, 24-25, he is writing. So Luke, who wrote the Gospel and also Acts of the Apostles, is generous in the praise. He is a good teacher. Are you generous in the praise of others? That is yet another thing. And then there are so many other things for you to share with you. My own life principle I want to tell you now. The first one, I remember once again in this same hall, the DO or CEO, the Madam Sumadhi came some last time when I came first year. Now you remember, she was telling 2 points. You tell the students, இன்னைக்கு என்ன பெருசா கற்றுக் கொடுக்குறீங்க, நீங்கள் இன்னைக்கு பிள்ளைங்களுக்கு கற்றுக் கொடுக்க வேண்டியது 2 விஷயம். ஒன்று பணிவு, இன்னொன்று துணிவு. அது எனக்கு இன்னும் மனசில் போல. இங்கே இந்த ரூம்லேருந்தே அந்த அம்மா பேசினாங்க. நான் பிஷப்பான புதுசில் பணிவை கற்றுக் கொடுங்கள், துணிவை கற்றுக் கொடுங்கள். Teach them to obey. First of all, you obey the management, obey the rules of the school, obey civil law, obey canon law, whatever you are bound to obey. What is the use of memorizing some data, getting good marks, and be left free without following any rules of the society? That is one thing. You ought to be obedient and teach obedience to the students, to the teachers, to the parents. That is one thing. Secondly, you have to build up courageous students. It's all right, the students are generous, that's good, compassionate, but also courageous, fighting for justice, fighting against injustice. You know, some time back in Trichy, we had a problem how our sister's school was accused of not following the rules, was accused for somebody else suicide and so on. But then I was telling the fathers, there is famous St. Joseph's College, Holy Cross College. They have alumni association. They will give some money also to put up a new block. More than that, if all the alumni who studied in our colleges raise their voice, this institution is not like that. That counts much more to me than all these generous donation I used to tell them. They should be courageous in their life. You should not create cowards. Going on winning and winning, one failure, they commit suicide. What is the use of our education if we don't teach them courage? Obedience, courage. Okay, I conclude. Sister gave me time only up to 11 o'clock. Last, before I conclude, I can't say everything. I didn't want to say things that are irrelevant. This I always say at the end. My own principle of life is this: pray as though everything depended on God. Whatever religion you may belong to, doesn't matter. There is God. Without God, we can do nothing. Pray as though everything depended on God. Secondly, work as though everything depended on you. Work as though everything depended on you. Tell the students, what matters is not success. What matters is fidelity and hard work. You worked hard, still you didn't get the score you expected. Doesn't matter. You also, 100% result that teacher got. She didn't teach well, she didn't work hard, but you worked hard, only 80%. Doesn't matter. In the eyes of God, you are the prize winner. You are the winner. Fidelity and hard work is important. That's why work as though everything depended on you. The world judges by the result. God judges by the effort, I tell them. Prayer, hard work. Be prayerful, be hardworking. These are the first two of my concerns. The third and fourth, be compassionate. Create an attitude of compassion in the children. You be compassionate. A good friend will find the other friend is weeping even though he is walking in the rain. Sensitive to see the suffering of others. Suffer with them. Do something to reduce it. That is the purpose of education. That's why I always say, the heart of education is the education of the heart. The heart of education is the education of the heart. Don't educate only the brain, the head. The heart has to be educated. They should live loving lives. affectionate lives. That should not be forgotten. Be compassionate. And the last one goes together, be humble and grateful. Be humble and grateful. Humility, according to me, is the recognition that we need God, we need others. We need to respect one another. Humble people respect others. Humble people don't go on looking at the mobile, playing with the mobile when there is a guest. You switch off the mobile for some time. Spend 10 minutes of quality time with the people who have come to you. All the time, you go to your family, everybody is with one mobile, going on doing it. Humble people, they are not humble people. Ungrateful people, which I said, everything we have is given by God. Be grateful to God, grateful to your elderly parents, grandparents, elder brother and sister who toiled hard for you. This is the occasion that every teacher must make it her own and then also give it to the students. God bless you.